On with Shamba right now. I'll summarize it just like I summarize the news. You're in transition. You're in a great transition right now, a great evolution of self. Remaking the body, starting at actually a sub-DNA level, I'm going to say it's not even an atomic level or a carbon-based level. It's all changing. Now, you still look in the mirror and say, well, I'm still seeing that face and it's getting a little older every day. It's going to, a little bit, because of the tremendous energy that the human body is consuming right now. Also look at your appetite. The tremendous energy that it's consuming and going through a change that actually doesn't really need any energy. But the human is so worried about it, and the human is teetering on the old biological evolution, the Homo sapien evolution cycle, and still trying to follow that. But the master, which we would call the energy body, is coming in, and that's causing all this, well, a feeling of being lost. What's coming next? And fear. Am I going to die? Am I going to go out of my mind? And then the doubts come in. You're really good at doubting. You've perfected the art of doubt in so many ways. And then you pull that resource in. Oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, I do. I'm going to pull in doubt. I'm going to doubt everything I do. I'm going to self-analyze myself. And I'm going to isolate myself. And I'm going to go into complete boredom and lack of passion and everything else. And it's in a way effective, because it wears you out. I was going to say a bad word, but it wears you out. And in that wearing out, an interesting phenomena takes place. And everything you're going through right now, you cannot do it wrong. You can do it miserable. You can do it the hard way, but you cannot do it wrong. It's going to happen. It has happened. The whole ascension, I've said from the start, relax into your enlightenment. Just take it easy. The human is not responsible for and cannot do enlightenment. The human would have no concept. The human would humanize enlightenment. Then it would be limited. Then it would be, it would be really boring. The human cannot do enlightenment because you're still operating in your limited senses. But if the human just allows, relax into the enlightenment, looks at every experience, whether it's pain in the physical body, whether it's absolute sheer boredom, but steps back and looks at it and goes, wow, look at what's happening, because at the same time, there is such a change in your body, and I don't mean your physical body, but in the energy body that you are, that will eventually change the physical. And no, you're not necessarily going to get 50 years younger or look 50 years younger. You're not going to want to live to be 500 years old, I guarantee that. Whether you are in the energy body or not, remember for a moment, if you would, just really remember that at the cellular level, what it was like back in the Lemurian times, where you were still very ethereal, very airy. You hadn't completely embedded into biology yet. You were just dancing along with the biological life forms on the planet, but not in the incarnation cycle yet. So it was kind of light, kind of almost a little vapory. It's like you're there, but you're not there. You're experiencing it, but you're not trapped in it. Just remember back for a moment. You all went through it. It's where you actually develop such a love for nature, and particularly the elementals. That's kind of in a little way of where you're going. In other words, not so heavy physical, not so connected to the body or to the mind. It's a weird feeling. Because just like these groups of people on the earth right now that are going to be going to the underworld, this new place set up just for those who like it strict and tough, you've got this part of you right now that is holding on so much to the old, because it's about all you really truly remember, to the physical body. When is my body going to get better? When is my mind going to get sharper? And it's not. It's not, and it's not intended to. We're not here to try to perfect the human condition at all. First of all, because it never can be perfected. There is, you almost say, a hidden button deep inside the energy of everybody that will not allow the perfection of the human condition, because then you would never get out. All the pieces of the puzzle aren't there, in other words, so you're never going to complete it, and that's a good thing, because that would really trap you here. You're going through a whole thing right now that seems very strange to the human, and it is loss of control. Now, you all have high levels of control, otherwise you won't be here. Particularly for Shaumbra. And a lot of you say, well, no, I'm not controlling. I think I have indigestion already. No, you've controlled the biological and the mental process very, very well. You've become very adept at it. But now, suddenly, you're going out of control. The human is losing control, or at least the perspective of control. The human feels that everything is kind of falling apart. You can't focus here anymore. You can't depend on this old way of handling things. In the last couple weeks in particular, I've seen so many of you can't even read a page in the book because your eyes are wandering, your brain is wandering. You're like, what's wrong with me? Of course, you know what you conclude is that you're either getting old, or you're getting Alzheimer's, or you're losing it. You are not. You are simply going through a transformation. You're losing control, and that's exactly the way it should be. Your body is reacting in weird ways. I would say on a typical day, I hear about 27% of Shaumbra say, oh, I'm dying. I must be dying. It's very dramatic, and, oh, I'm dying. I'm going to get some disease. Most of them don't. Because your body is changing so rapidly right now, and yes, it hurts at times. If you ever wore braces when you were younger on your teeth, that's not a pleasant thing, but the end result, you get straight teeth. But here you're going through a tremendous change in the body. It's easier to die, but you didn't. You're going through a tremendous change in the body. It's going to hurt once in a while. And your mind, poor mind, we're going to talk about it a lot at ProNOS, but the mind is not going to work the way it did before. The mind cannot, literally, and just a kind of a little taste of ProNOS coming up, the era of the mind is done on this planet. And I'm not talking about in the future. I'm talking about it already happened. Computers are smarter than you are. Faster, more efficient. They don't whine as much. They don't need to be fed. Computers are faster. They can, when you Google, I think you call it, you do one of those search engine things, and you type in, what do you type in? Donald Trump. Let's say you Google Saint Germain. Yeah, much better. You Google Saint Germain. In a fraction of a second, the computers go through about 1 trillion different options. 1 trillion. You hit that button, and once in a while, that little thing starts spinning, and 5 seconds have passed, and you're cussing. It's just gone through over 1 trillion different potentials based on analyzing all the data that's out there on the planet right now. Your mind can't do that. The era of the mind this is it. This is the last true era of the mind. You're the ones actually leading that charge, believe it or not. Even some of you who say, how about me? I'm not technical at all. You don't have to be. You are leading that change of the mind. Now, it's not all going to change in the next 2, 3, 4 generations. It will take a while, but there is a dramatic change taking place on the planet. A little hint on that. Why have the mind figure out complex calculations? Why sit down with a piece of paper and figure out complex mathematical calculations when you can push a button? Why? But the mind is feeling, oh my God, I'm being replaced by a computer, by a robot. And there's this whole feeling that adds to the element of being lost. And so you, as Shamba, are going, what's happening in the mind here? What am I going to do? And then you start taking supplements. You start taking mind awareness supplements. And I have to stop and say, shut up. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Let yourself experience what you're going through without fighting it, without medicating it, or without meditating it. Allow it, embrace it, be with it. You are exactly where you should be right now. Physically, mentally, everything else. No, it's not pretty. No, it's not pretty. It hasn't been for any of the other ascended masters. None of them had pretty, nicey kind of enlightenments. Yours is actually easier than what they went through. At least you have each other. At least you're together. At least you have me. And I am simply here, truly, I'm simply here because you asked for a mirror. That's it. It's not really my wisdom, it's yours. It's not really me up here with the antics and the distraction. It's yours. This is your creation. So you're exactly where you should be. But you're going through this loss of control right now, and it's okay. That's actually a really, really good sign. When you just don't feel like things are working the way they did anymore, of course not. Your body is going through dramatic changes that cannot be measured yet, scientifically yet, but within the next few years, absolutely. Do a DNA test now. Do it now. Cough up, how much do they cost? $69, that's insane. For a whole sequencing. Do a test now, come back and do another one in 3 years, and you'll see a difference. Yeah, use a different name, a different email address and everything else, but do it again and see what happens. You're exactly where you should be, and you're losing control. Now, that sounds kind of weird. Losing control to what? To what? Well, it's the master, which you are also. But instead of being in a limited spectrum of senses and a limited spectrum of awareness and of creative expression, as the human was, you're now opening all that up. And it changes everything. And it changes the control, which, if I could say to any of you, take your foot off the brake and your hands off the wheel. You're not giving over authority to someone else, saints, archangels, ascended masters, or God. It's not like let go and let God. It's let go, I am. And it's very frightening for the human to take the hand off the wheel and off the brake. What's going to happen? And the human is so used to controlling every aspect of their life. Let go of that control right now and watch what happens. And you're not, it's not as a negative to the human. In other words, not saying that anything was bad with the control. It's just the experience that you had. And it's not saying that you're going to relinquish your humanness, because you're not. But you're opening to the and, to different potentials and possibilities, to the master that's within. You're opening to the and. So it feels very strange. And I hope every one of you, last couple of weeks, has been going through all sorts of crap in your life, because then it means you're really allowing this enlightenment. If you've had doubts and mental stuff and back and forth, and you're not sleeping well, and you're eating too much, and then you're not eating enough, and you wonder what's going on with you, and your body hurts, and because you're going through embodied enlightenment. Just feel for a moment that some of you are going to write amazing books or have fantastic films, videos that nobody's going to believe. just imagine for a moment the book of your enlightenment. But you can't, don't be serious when you're thinking about it or actually doing it. Don't make it dreary. As I always tell you, embellish a little bit. Use some theatrics. Stop getting so stuck in the mud. Have a little fun with it. Funny thing happened to me on the way to enlightenment. Kuthumi. I lost everything. Lost my mind, lost everything. And have fun with it. Just feel into a moment your book of enlightenment. Not some overly holy, sacred type of text, boring. But the whole transition of going from what you thought was just another human life into a transformation that is literally setting the pace for the next evolution on the planet. Because the next evolution, the evolution on the planet, is not going to look like what it has been in the past 100 years, 1,000 years, or million years. The next evolution on this planet is going to be something totally different. And you're leading. Donald, is that you? Is that Donald calling? Or he's twittering. That's a Twitter? I knew Donald was going to Twitter. We'll let it go for this time. Next time it goes in the toilet. Can we bring a camera in there and watch the flushing? So let's take a deep breath with that. I will get to the point now, the point of this shout. It's taken me, God, forever to get there, but let's take a deep breath.